Good morning, everybody. Been super busy last couple of weeks, and man, our weather has cooperated. It's been daylight and above freezing and dry, so those are all good things. Living up here in Alaska, it's been raining all year this year, and then here the last couple 3 weeks, man, it's been dry as a bone, no rain, which has been huge for us trying to get everything put away for the season and buttoned up, and it is a major transition up here to go from summer to winter. And so God has blessed us with some decent weather. Like I said, if it's daylight and it's dry and it's above freezing, count your blessings right now. So it's been that way, and we've gotten a tremendous amount done to get ready for winter. I've got a couple more things to do, and I'm going to try to knock those out in the next day or so. And we should be able to hunker down and be able to get through winter. But I haven't been on here for a little bit, and it's I mean, here's where I'm at. Just got an extremely heavy heart about what's happening in Israel and about what's going on over there, and what makes it not just what happened on October 7th with the massacre, the demonic massacre of about 1,400 people and another over 200 taken as hostages. But watching the huge outpouring of support for the people that did this has been extremely sickening to me. All these demonstrations in favor of Hamas and it's just gut-wrenching. It's just, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, the great apostasy. It's just the mass falling away. Just as plain as it gets. To watch this, more and more people are rejecting God. They're abandoning what's moral and decent. And it's so sad to watch. It's just, God told us that all this mass falling away, this great apostasy, it's got to happen before the rapture and before the Antichrist shows up. And I kind of knew it. The society is immoral, and they're crooked, they're liars, they're cheaters, they're everything that Jesus described. I mean, love of themselves and, haughty and all the other words that was used to describe how people are going to be, and that, the mass falling away, the lawlessness, the abandonment of anything decent, anything from God, and just, flat out rejection of it is I guess I'm seeing it. I'm feeling that weight of just how bad that is, and it sucks down here. It sucks. That the world is doing exactly what God said it was going to do, and that people are acting exactly the way God said that they would act. And so, I've been finding it tough to sit down and do a video like this. I know that you're, don't want to BS people and tell them the truth and not sugarcoat stuff. And so, I mean, so how do I turn this positive? How do I put a happy spin on what's going on? And it's like, man, I don't think anybody's, I mean, I've watched a bunch of sermons and you know, they're talking about, having great faith and being happy and knowing that God's done something already before it happens, and being upbeat and positive. And it's like, man, but they weren't dealing with what we all are dealing with now. I mean, I said it last video about, I don't think there's anything in history that's been more important than what's getting ready to happen, and what's, the severity and the permanency of what's going on right now. And I mean, I try to imagine myself being back in WW2 and back throughout history when people were undergoing a lot of turmoil and war and horrible stuff going on, dictators and all that. So, but I mean, this evil crap is coming from everywhere, all sides. There's not one single part of our life down here that isn't being bombarded with evil. There's nothing. I mean, it's like every single thing, everything that we are down here, and it's worldwide. And so, yeah, I've been trying to get in a good mood over all this, and it's been tough. It's been hard. My faith's not shaken. My belief in God's not shaken. I mean, I've been through horrible things. God's delivered me out of there, but this just seems a little different, and this just seems a little more extreme. This just seems a little bit more intense, and it is. I mean, it's I've had bad crap happen in an airplane where I had to deal with it, and this is serious, and this is life threatening, but I've never ever not been optimistic and hopeful or positive, or the cup's half. It's never been half empty. It's always half full. But this is different. So I've been struggling. What do I do? What do I say on the channel? And all I know to do is just to be honest and to not sugarcoat anything. And these are indeed perilous times. And I said in a video or two ago, things may get worse before God and Jesus makes them better. And I said that, like 13 days ago, on the description and the title of the last video. And I really didn't know what I was saying. I mean, I kind of was feeling the weight of it then, but things may get worse before God and Jesus makes them better. And it's just great falling away. And the people that are falling away, the people who have fallen away, the people that are abandoning God, is, that evilness is horrible. We're supposed to be praying for them, right? But my biggest concern is all the innocent people that are suffering because of them. that's what's bugging me. And all the innocent Jewish people that woke up on Sunday morning and were slaughtered. I mean, I didn't want to go into the video, or I didn't want to go into detail, and you know, I saw an interview with a coroner in Israel that people that were dealing with these bodies, and you know, these people are hard. This one man been doing this 30 years, man, and he's seen all kinds of conflict and wars and terrorist attacks, and he said, I've never seen anything like what these people just did. I've never seen the brutality, I mean, it was just straight from hell. And then this Hamas leader, oh, we had a miscommunication in the field. Yeah, we had they're blowing it off like it was nothing, and they still have all these people held hostage. They still have them all. If they're even still alive, God only knows what they're doing to them. And you know, God's chosen people have had to suffer all kinds of shit. Throughout history, and they have really taken the brunt of evilness. And throughout history, you know, Satan's wanting to kill all of them, and what's evil has attacked them, and what's evil has, you know, done things to them that are just unspeakable. And so I'm trying to get in a good mood about what's going on. And like I said, my faith's not shaken. My hope in God is not shaken. But man, it's you know, I'm trying not to let this affect me personally, but you know, I can't help it. And you know, I'm petitioning God to please put an end to this. Please stop it. You know, and He has to let happen what He has to let happen, and I know that. And you know, it's just a part of being a follower of Christ, is having to deal with the bad stuff is on top of the good stuff. And I'm not going to question God, or why are you letting this, or why do you let little babies get massacred, or why do you you know, I can't. We have to trust Him with all of that stuff. But you know, I just great falling away, man. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. It's on like it's never been on. And how far is God going to let this go? And we've had this conversation before. How far are these people going to keep falling away before God says enough's enough? And so anyway, you know, sitting down and talking about this stuff is one thing, and then I'm thinking, you know, well, you know, you're supposed to spin it at the end and turn it positive and let everybody know what the good news is, and you know that Jesus is going to make everything all right, and I don't want to sound cliche, and He is going to do all that stuff. He is going to make everything all right. It is all going to flip for good, and it's all going to work out. But you know, it sure is, you know, it's like almost like if I knew someone that has terminal cancer, and I'm sad for them, and I'm upset for them, and I'm praying for them, and I don't want them to suffer, and I don't want them to, you know, who would wish anything bad like that on anybody? And And then, you know that they're a very devout Christian person and that they love the Lord. And it's real hard while they're sitting here, you're watching them suffer and wither away. And, we had a friend of ours who died from cancer, and we watched her, wither away and die, and it sucked. But so how do you, while you're dealing with that and while you're watching it, how do you get happy about, oh, well, I know she's going to heaven. I know she's going to be with Jesus. I know she's going to be perfectly fine. And that, so, we're right there in that. I feel like I'm right there in that with the world right now. I know that she's just going to work it out. It's all going to be fine. We're going to get raptured, and, no more pain and sorrow for us that believe in him. And Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, because you have kept my command to persevere, I will also keep from you the hour of trial, which shall come upon the whole earth to test those who dwell on the earth. Behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. And he who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and I will write on him my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And so, we're trying to persevere right now. And, God's going to keep us from the tribulation and all that stuff. But man, we're having to deal with trial right now. And so, and Jesus says to keep my command to persevere. And so, that's what we have to do. Keep the command to persevere. And I mean, you talk about having to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and suck it up. It's tough. Anyway, like I said, it's, you want to be positive and you want to give people an upbeat encouragement but, at the same time, you got to call it like it is. I mean, this apostasy, it's a massive abandonment, massive turning away, a massive defection, and it's like it just goes beyond just basic morality and basic principles of being a human being and having, to not harm one another. It's just a flat out demonic, evil, preconceived. These people are just plotting evil, and they're not ashamed of it. They're not hiding it anymore. And I was talking about from political to social stuff to and on top of all the other signs that are there that we're watching that God said would be the storms, the flooding, the earthquakes, the stuff in the sky and the stars and just so it is a flood. Not a flood like water flood, but it is an evil, massive flood. And it's just it reminds me of Noah's day when the water came. But this is a flood of what's evil, and not water. It's a flood of what's evil, and I just see it covering covering the earth, and God said it would take over, and so we got to persevere. We got to hang in there. We got to make it to the end. When Jesus says enough's enough, and he comes and gets us. So the world is embracing this mass deception, this mass illusion, this massive lie that is totally and completely against God, against anything that's moral, any standard of morality that comes from God, the Bible. I mean, just everything as we know it, that we should be as Christians, the world is turning against. And it's like Satan is trying to put his foot on the neck of the belief in God. It's like he's trying to choke the belief in God. He's trying to choke the belief in anything that's good or hopeful. Or I've never felt as overwhelmed by this ever in my life, and I've sensed evil, and I've felt it, and sensitive to that. And I ran across a person the other day, man, and I could just tell, man, they were just flat out way off in left field demonically. I just, but man, it's like, I guess if you're sensitive to the Holy Spirit and you're sensitive to being really in touch with God, you can feel what's evil too. And man, it sucks. So, I mean, they are flat out just desecrating, abandoning. They're trying to overthrow God. They're trying to, I mean, anything and everything that's the truth is just being trampled on, and I mean, with fierceness that I've never seen ever. Lawlessness is abounding. Disrespectful for law enforcement, for authority, for, I mean, it just, no one has any respect for, or no one gives a crap anymore about anything that's good and positive and hopeful. The world's getting more and more and more lawless. The Bible talks about lawlessness and the rebellion against God, and I mean, upheaval, oppression, and disorder, and this worldwide tumult, which is, everybody's agitated. It's all irregular. It's noisy. It's confusing. It's just like a large, confused noise, and it's being caused by a massive amount of people. It's just spirit of Antichrist is just, it's here right now. And Jesus talked about there would be many Antichrists come before him, and I don't want to start naming names, but man, there are a bunch of them out there, and a bunch of people. They're Antichrists. They are, but this turmoil, this disorder, this disarray, this disturbance, this unrest, this chaos, this uproar, it just becomes more and more and more and more and more. The volume's getting turned up constantly. This Hamas crap, this, Iran says, death to America is not just a chant. It's our policy. It's our policy, that's, I mean, just flat out crazy. And then our government, they say that, and then our government just gave them $6 billion. You're kidding me, right? I mean, these are terrorists, they're murderers, they're rapists, they're kidnappers, they're child molesters, there's no one worse on the planet. There's no other people worse on the planet. And so, if this ain't the precursor to the man of sin, the man of lawlessness, I mean, if you don't see it, then man, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is the great apostasy. This is the great abandonment, renouncing of God, and hatred towards everyone that has chosen God over what's evil. And I'm going to go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 24. And I'm going to go to verse 12. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And so, man, we're having to endure this. We're having to ride this out. And just like back in Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, because you have kept my command to persevere, I will also keep you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon the whole world, to test those who dwell on the earth. Man, we all got to hang in here, right? We all have to put up with this. We all have to deal with it. We all have to be seeking the Lord like we never have before. I am so blessed that I have such a lifelong history with God and track record with God, and I know that He's going to deliver us out of things, and His ways are not ours, and His timing's not ours. I mean, I know all of these things, but man, I've never had to deal with anything more serious than this, and so sinning is lawlessness, and the practice of sinning is, if you we all make mistakes, and we all sin and screw up, but man, to continually do it and to continually practicing it, it's like you're trying to get better at it or something. It's just, you've got to draw a line, and you just, man, if you're new to Christ and you're new to being a Christian, then man, this couldn't be any more worse time for you to try to. I feel for you. I mean, to try to understand all of what's going on, and so the world is rebelling against God. And it's on a massive scale. The great apostasy, the great falling away. World's rebelling against Israel, God's chosen people. They're choosing what is evil over what is good. They're choosing the lawless terrorists. They're they're already turning to the Antichrist, and he's not even here yet. The Antichrist. The one that's revealed after the rapture. And then they're following all the many Antichrists that are here now. And Jesus said there would be many. And I'm going to go to 1 John chapter 2. Let me see if I can flip over. All right. 1 John chapter 2, and go to verse 18. Little children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard that the Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have come, by which we know that it is the last hour. And they're hiding in plain sight, and like I said, they are not making an attempt to try to hide it anymore as to what they're trying to do, and so it's all ramping up. It's all getting worse. Man, I just didn't want to do this video because I knew it was going to be downer, and I hate that, but what's going on in the world is a downer, and it sucks. But you know, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, 1 through 11. Let's jump over there. All right, where am I at? 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. One through 11. But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman. They shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that this day should not overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation. For God did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain a salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Therefore, comfort each other and edify one another, just as you also are doing. So, you know, God's telling us to encourage one another right now, and to persevere, and to keep together as best we can. And there's never been a more time where, I'm just having to lay everything out on God's feet and Jesus' feet and say, man, take this off me. Just help me to deal with it. Help me to understand. Help me to be upbeat and positive. And so, you know, I'm watching the death of our planet. I'm watching the death of the world as we all have known it, and the terminal illness, that's the spiritual illness that has plagued God's creation, us people, since Adam and Eve. And that's pretty heavy, man. Wages of sin is death, right? And the world's getting ready to die. And I hate to... Those that don't know Christ and those that have rejected God and have chosen what's evil, they're getting ready to. We're not. And I'm just finding it hard to get happy about not being a part of what's going to happen to the rest of the world. I mean, I'm trying to get happy about heaven. I'm trying to get happy about God delivering us and saving us and all that. But like I said, I'm feeling the pain of and the weight of all the innocent people that are suffering because of all these people that are evil. And again, I'm praying, asking Lord, please deliver us from this, and please put an end to it. And once and for all, be done with it, Father. And so, anyway, God says to comfort one another. Multiple scripture that we read today, the instruction was to comfort one another. And so, man, I mean, what do you say to a person when they're, when they're suffering? I mean, how do you really sincerely express, your condolences or your... I mean, that's what I feel like I'm having to do right now is try to tell everybody how sorry I am that the world's getting ready to go to hell. It's exactly what's getting ready to happen. And the 7 years of tribulation is going to be literally hell on earth. I've been trying to not read a bunch of that, but I have gotten into a little bit of it lately, and I've said it many, many times. You do not want to be here for that. So, I can't imagine anybody living in these times that doesn't know God. And those people that are on the fence right now I'm praying for you. I've been trying to figure out what to do on the channel and how can I serve God? How can I serve some other people? How can I help? And what I'm feeling led to do right now is my email is in the description of the channel. And if you don't know God yet, or you're having a tough time with God or whatever, send me an email and, kind of give me a heads up of where you're at or whatever. I'm just going to ask the Holy Spirit, just pray, for people and see where that leads. If we need to chat or something, we can, but that's where I'm feeling where, what can I be doing? And that's very important for people. So, so I can't imagine being a new Christian or not quite all the way there yet and having to deal with all this. I have a huge advantage in that, I've known God my whole life, and so, like I said, my faith's not shaking and my hope's not shaking, but my heart's just heavy, and it's for the people that are lost. It's for the innocent people that are suffering because of who's evil. And it's because of the, I can't imagine what God thinks. As many as he loves, he rebukes. And so, I mean, that means, half the people down here aren't going with us at the rapture. And so I hope it's a big number. I hope it's half, that does go. But I don't know. I'd really be worried right now. And it still crosses my brain just to make darn sure that I am good with God, that I am that I'm in a good place with him. And it's a constant check. I mean, I know I'm in a good place with him, but man, I just want to make absolutely sure, and just try to be thankful and grateful, and trying to be aware if I'm doing something, Lord, help me to overcome it and, to get past it. And anyway, didn't want this to be such a negative deal, and I'm gone 40 minutes here. Didn't really anticipate doing that, but if you need some prayer, you want to talk, you want to chit chat, email me. And we'll pray and ask God to help. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you later.